welcome back to the Sensible Mama podcast. I am Paulina Westcott. I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we get going, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with a mama that you think might enjoy it. Today, my guest is somebody very, very cool. We met very accidentally. We were never supposed to meet. It was one of those very serendipitous situations. I was about to give birth to my baby, and my midwife's birth assistant, could not make it because of COVID or I don't know, something. And so very last minute, this wonderful woman shows up at my house, and I was like, all right, well, if you say she's cool, I guess she's cool. And she made a huge difference in that, brief moment of knowing her. And so I'm super excited to have you here on the podcast. Sarah, tell the good people who you are, what you do, and we'll just get into it.
Sounds great. My name is Sarah Silamianos. I am a registered nurse, a Bachelor of Science nurse, and a board-certified lactation consultant.
Awesome.
So I work with mamas from start to finish, pregnancy, childbirth, lactation, all the things.
And so your experience, if I'm not mistaken, you're also a trained doula, yes?
Yes. So I started as a trained doula. I had also studied as a holistic midwife for a while, and a childbirth educator, and I'm currently in school to be a doctor of nursing practice for psychiatric mental health as well.
So basically, you know a little more than a little about, pregnancy and babies, and literally
Just a little bit.
before, during, and after the whole process.
It has been my life since, actually, I started in high school. I did a fast track to nursing program, which was offered by our school. So I graduated as a CNA, but our clinicals, my senior year, were all, we could choose where we wanted to be, and I did everyone on labor and delivery. My mother-in-law was actually one of the nurses on the floor, and she trained me. She was not my mother-in-law till 10 years later, but we still have a very close bond because of that, and labor and delivery has been my love and passion ever since.
That's amazing. Well, speaking from very personal experience, it shows.
Thank you.
Your presence at my birth was supposed to happen, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
There was a point where I was pretty certain, and I tell the story on the podcast quite a bit. People are probably sick of hearing it, but since you're here, I'll tell it again because I can, and it's my podcast and I'm the boss. There was a moment, you hit transition. That was my first baby, and I was not having a good time. I was not feeling it.
Transition is no joke at all. I told you, don't lose your breathing. When you lose your breathing, it's all downhill. You just gotta focus on that breath, know that contraction, every one of those contractions, yes, they're long, and yes, they're strong, and yes, they feel like it's, you get 30 seconds and you have another one coming, but that's because, that's your home stretch. That's bringing your baby to you. So.
And you got right in there in my face. I tell people, I'm like, it was a very intimate moment where this woman that I've never met in my life shows up out of nowhere, and you grab my hands and you're like, look, you were probably right here.
I was right in your face, yep.
And you were like, I can't do this for you. Nobody's gonna have your baby for you. I know it feels impossible, but the only person that's gonna make it is you. So whatever it takes, you need to get your head back in the game. And it was a much longer speech than that, and I don't remember all the words. But that was the gist of it, and I was locked in. I was like, oh damn, she's right. Nobody else is going to do this. And what, am I going to quit? What does that even look like?
Yeah, there's no turning back, And I don't even know how many mamas I've gotten through birth, and in so many different settings, home birth and the hospital and stillbirth and it always comes down to that support. And if your patient or your best friend, whoever you're helping through this, if they don't trust you and they don't know that you truly, genuinely care and that you've got them, they don't believe it. They need to know, this woman's got me. She has got me, and no matter what happens, she says I can do this, I can do it. And that is truly my goal. Like, I cannot tell you how many patients have found me later, or, and I truly like such a special place in my heart for every single one of their babies, every single one of their stories, because it stays with me. My lactation patients, every family that I have the privilege of helping, because for me, they're always like, thank you, like I'm like, no, like, thank you for trusting me, thank you for allowing me to give you like this journey. Like, I want your journey to be a good one. Like, this should be beautiful and calm, and it shouldn't be as stressful as we make it, right? Like, it really shouldn't. Childbirth, all the things, like social media, I feel like it really puts so much pressure on moms, and it breaks my heart because I'm only one person. Like, I really do. I try to reach moms. Like, even with my lactation business, like, I know, I see patients for free all the time. I do. I have certifications a mile long. I mean, certified to diagnose tongue ties. Like, that was a whole separate certification, like, that costed a lot of money. Nobody did that for me. I did that. I did that because my daughter had a tongue tie. I was told I wouldn't be able to breastfeed through it. Do you know I breastfed her until she was almost 4? She gained beautifully. She's a beautiful, healthy little girl.
Mm.
And if something isn't right, or if something, like, there needs to be a correction, or I will be there. I will hold your hand. I will refer you to a pediatric dentist. Like, I will do the hard work for you so you don't have to. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's more of a passion to help women so they have a good experience. Like, we all know childbirth can go any way. It doesn't matter where you're at. It can go any which way. I have seen all of it. I have seen things that, you know, traumatize me to this day, and I have seen things that were so beautiful that I was crying with my patient. I was so happy. I was crying with my patient. When your heart's in it, when you really love, like, what you do, like, I truly believe I was made for this work that I do. So it doesn't even feel like a job. It's exciting. It's, every person I help, like, I love the fact that I had the ability and the knowledge to give them what they needed in that moment.
The truth of the matter is, you can't fake that, you know? You can say the words, I care and I love and whatever, but when you meet somebody whose passion is so intense and is so pure, like when you walked through my front door, I was like, okay, I'm cool. I'm cool with her being here. This is great. She's the right person for the job. Like, and I guess that also goes back to the other side where you also know when it's not real, you know? And there are people, I mean, it's in any profession, in any field of work. You have
Absolutely.
the amazing, magical, unicorn, beautiful people, and you have your people that are just there for the paycheck or for whatever. And I guess at the end of the day, it's you got to trust your instincts, you got to rely on friends, and but more than anything, I think it's your gut. When you meet somebody and you know that they're the right person, you know that they're the person that's supposed to be there to help you through this. We were talking just before we hit record. We were actually chit-chatting for far longer, and we should have hit record because it was a good conversation.
It was a good catch up though. Like, we haven't seen each other in a while, so it was a good catch
It was
up.
awesome. But like one of the things is like historically what used to happen is you would have a village, and it was a small village because we didn't have the internet, and we didn't have, I mean,
No.
goodness, we didn't have trains, we didn't have planes,
You might be
all
on the prairie somewhere with nobody around but one person,
yeah,
30
and
miles away.
you
Like,
had your people were just your close, physically, literally close people. And so there wasn't like, international board certified anything, nothing. You had to rely on your community and your village to help you through this. And so there became this natural, I guess, tradition of women helping other women navigate pregnancy, because goodness, that
I
is the
love that you
whole
say
thing.
that. That is like a quote for me. Women helping women. Like, it is a tale as old as time. They would bring in women that had done it. Like, they had no formal training.
No, but
Now,
that was all that was available. All you had was the women that had done it would come in and they'd say,
yep,
hey, girl, we've been here. We did this. It's going to be okay. We're going to help you with all of the knowledge that we have and all of our, because at the end of the day, your child is going to be a part of our community, and our children are going to grow up together. And so together we're creating a civilization, we're creating a society, And it is in our best interest to help you have the best possible experience. And so today,
Absolutely.
like you said, like social media and Hollywood and the politics involved in all of this have made it just a mishmash of ick. I don't know.
It I truly feel that it puts a lot of pressure on moms. Like I can't tell you how many moms I've worked with that have said this was supposed to be natural, it was supposed to be easy, and I said no, it's not. It is natural. It is. It's beautiful. That does not mean it's easy. That does not mean that it there's not going to be any bumps in the road. You know, I truly believe in trusting your body. I am so grateful for, you know, the modern healthcare and all the training that I have and all the training that I can get. And, I'm studying, integrative, and holistic medicine right now because I think that there is root cause analysis and I think there's so much more that we can gain. Like I just crave like that constant knowledge. But at the same time, I think, Dr. Google and, being able to just search these things at your fingertips, you're terrified constantly. And when we're afraid, what do we release? Stress. Stress hormones. Guess what that does? That lowers your milk supply. That stresses you. That stresses your baby. Like, once upon a time, women didn't have pregnancy tests. They had to wait a month or two to make sure that they were really pregnant, And then, they might not have even known they had a miscarriage because, oh, maybe their period just, oh, never mind, it was just late and it was truly a miscarriage. Lots of women, died in childbirth, died from infections. I mean, so many ways. Like, so there's this beautiful thing of modern healthcare. But I truly believe, as a practitioner, like I truly believe that there's such a good balance between holistic care and Western medicine. Like one cannot function without the other because it like your home birth was beautiful. But for the ones that's not and it becomes an emergent situation, guess what? You go to that hospital, you still have a chance. Like you can have a more holistic birth in the hospital, but you have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Advocating, every single patient and client that I ever work with as a doula, as a nurse, as a lactation consultant, I preach advocating. If you're not sure, ask the question. That's not being confrontational. That is taking your care into your hands because this is your body. This is your baby. These are your boobs. Like it matters to ask that question. Like you have the right to ask that question. You have the right to say, what is this medicine that you're giving me? Do I need to start this now? If they say, oh, let's go ahead and get you on oxytocin, and you're not sure, you're like, well, I didn't really want to do that. Is it necessary?
Or
The
even as
nurse.
simple as what I did, and this kind of ticked off the OBGYN I was seeing prior to my plans to have a home birth and leading to my decision to have a home birth. I was like, okay, you want me to do XYZ. You're talking about induction. I'm going to sit here and you're going to educate me about all of the good, the bad, and the ugly, why it's a good idea, why it's a bad idea. Teach me. And they were like, well, it's just what we do. And I was like, it's what you do, but it may not be what I do. So educate me. And they were like, well, it's just what we do. It's standard practice. And I was like, I understand. I am not standard practice. I am Polina Westcott, and I am having a baby, and I'd like you to educate me on why you want to do the things you want to do. And so if a practitioner gets annoyed with you asking questions and wanting to educate yourself, that's not a you problem. That's a them problem, and you can ask for a different practitioner or find a new one. But you're
Absolutely.
also going to find wonderful, wonderful people in the medical profession that agree with you. And they may even go, wow, this is unusual. Nobody asks this. Okay, sure. Let's talk about this. This is why we want you to do this. And you go, well, what if I do that? Well, this is going to happen. Okay, but what about this? And like have a real live conversation, take ownership. Like you said,
Absolutely.
like advocate for yourself. It's your
Yeah.
baby, you know?
And I'm like, I tell moms, I'm like, listen, have a birth plan. Like I have like two or three that I give moms. I'm like, pick one and then combine them. Like, and go over them with your partner. And if you don't have a partner, use the picture ones. So when you're in that moment where you can't even speak and you've given birth, I've given birth, you zone out at some point and you're like, I don't care what you do to me at this point, this child just has to come out of my body. So in that moment, it's like, but she wants this. So if this is safe, because safety is our not like it should always be our number one priority, right? Like when we're having a baby, like we just want a safe, happy, healthy baby. But we also like we want to, okay, but do I need this? But you may not be able to ask that. So it's like, okay, is this safe, or are we in a critical situation where like this we can't stick this anymore? So I would go over with my patients, I would take their birth plans. I truly think everybody should have some kind of birth plan, even if you don't want a holistic birth, even if you don't want it all natural, even if you're like, give me all the drugs, like it doesn't matter. It's just good. Do because then we're not asking you, hey, do you want delayed cord clamping or do you want us to just clamp it and cut it? Do you not care? Do you want these vaccines and vitamins? And if they're like, I don't care or I'm not sure, can you educate me? Absolutely. Let me explain why this is a good idea. Like, let me explain why this is important because even if TikTok said this, I'm telling you this. I'm educated in this. I know why I'm telling you. Listen, I gain nothing from telling you this. I gain nothing from giving you this little piece of knowledge. Like, I am truly looking out for you and your baby's best interest. And that really is like the heart of everything I do. I am looking out for moms and I'm looking out for their babies constantly because there is a lot of information out there that's just untrue and then it becomes unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
So have that birth plan for the moments that you can't speak. Whoever your nurse is, whoever your doctor is, go over it with them before things get started. Or if you're, sometimes we had, people, they were coming in hot. Like, listen, a baby was coming one or the other, so the birth plan didn't matter. That baby was coming out. We just need to get you on a bed or in a safe spot so we can catch this child, like, coming out because it's happening. But other times, for inductions, because there is, there is a little bit like when I say absolutely trust your body, absolutely, you know your body, you know your baby, like inside of you, you know how much they're moving, you know how much they're kicking, like, yes, can movements slow a little bit, like when babies get bigger, they can, but it's not because they're running out of room or no, like they should still be moving. Like your baby should still be moving and active up until the point they are out of your body. Like, and
No,
that's
mine was.
absolutely, because so, moms being afraid or, not trusting their bodies, sometimes, they're like, oh, well, baby's still moving, so it must be okay. No, there is nothing wrong with going getting checked. There's nothing wrong with making that like, hey, I just feel a little off. Like, just go get checked. It is better, I swear. There's so many times I was like, it's so much better to be safe than sorry all the way even through, to birth and beyond, even with lactation. I tell all my moms, I'm like, you have my number, you have my work number, you have my personal cell phone number. If you are worried, I don't care if it's midnight, you call me. If something doesn't seem right, you call me and I will tell you, nope, this is okay, this is normal, or nope, it's not, like we need to get seen. It is just better. It is better to just be on the safe side always. So I think that sometimes when you are like you have that education, you have that knowledge piece from like the credible evidence-based sources, and you can never be prepared, but if you are a little bit prepared, as prepared as you can be, right? Like that birth plan is going to change. It's going to change every single time. I don't think I've ever had a birth that was like strictly to the birth plan. It changed at some point in time somewhere, whether it was what they wanted, whether they wanted epidural, how they wanted to, the position they wanted to birth in. I had some moms that were like dead set on squatting.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time we got to the end of pushing, they were like, absolutely not. I want to be on my side. And I would tell them, they'd say, I don't know why, but even epidural patients, I would have epidural patients look at me and say, Sarah, I feel like I just got to move a little, like we're pushing, and I just feel like I just gotta be in this like weird, like kind of funky. I'm like, let's get you in it, and I would flip them to that position, and I kid you not, here comes their baby. Like,
Yes.
your body
Your body is
knows.
so incredibly powerful. Like for
It
me,
is.
I remember I was pushing in the water. I was pushing in the water. I was pushing in the water, and I was like, I'm gonna have this baby in the water.
Yep.
No, no,
Nope.
that's not. that wasn't how it was going to happen that time. And maybe with baby number 3, we'll see what happens. I've yet to have my water birth.
Maybe you get your water birth.
My
But
husband and I
you
were
had your
joking. It was just
partner behind you, like you roared your baby out. Like it
it was
was
great.
truly a
Yeah.
beautiful moment. Like it was, I mean, it was the way your body, I think that like so we call in the hospital, we call water the liquid epidural, right? The key to water is, so I always told my patients, I was like, in early stages of labor or when you're in active labor, try to get in the shower if you want to use water. Save that submersion for the end, for your transitional phase, because that is when you need your body to relax. And once your body relaxes, that baby will come every single time. That's why some people, me personally, happened to me with my first. I was stuck at 7 centimeters. And they were, I got started on a little bit of pit. I ended up getting an epidural because of the Pitocin. I was like, nope, like this is awful. Like I need an epidural. Got my epidural. I kid you not, it was less than an hour. I went from 7 to 9 and he was there. 3 pushes and he was out because my body relaxed enough to where I dilated. And we would even tell patients, when you're in labor, your face is all like, crunch up, and I'd be like, try to relax your mouth because the idea is that, your mouth is actually a direct relation to your cervix. So if
Mhm.
you can relax your mouth, you can relax your cervix. And it would work.
There's something, I'm telling you, it's something magical, like, and it's so wild to me, and I don't think it ever gets old. I mean, you've been doing this longer than I have,
No.
but it never gets old how incredible the woman's body is. Like, the way
Yes.
that, like, I remember, like, the weird motions I with my second, you weren't at my second, but
I know.
we tried. It
We
was
did try. Maybe number 3.
let's see, who knows? Yeah. I'm gonna have my water birth this time.
Yes.
No, but I was doing these bizarre, like, I am not a gymnast. I am not a particularly flexible person, but like I had my legs up
Hmm.
and like I was like grooving. I was sitting on the toilet for most of my labor because it was just happening. It was working. And my poor husband, I'm like throwing him across the bathroom and into the washing machine and across the wall, and he's like taking a beating. But like my body was just moving with every contraction. And it was like, not that it was involuntary, like I was still very much aware and in control, but I was allowing my body to do what it naturally wanted to do. And I'm telling you, when I say my baby flew out of me, he flew out of me.
Literally, yes. No, I was right there.
Like this is what happens. Like
Yeah,
if you and it's hard because if you're not already in the habit of listening to your body, it's more difficult. So I recommend, if you're pregnant, start early. Start listening to your body. Like, pay attention to, like, when you eat something and it tells you that it's not happy about it, or it tells you that it likes it, or like, really practice listening to what it needs and going with it, like, and not
absolutely.
not like, oh, I want heaps of mint chocolate chip ice cream, and then going, but like really understand, okay, oh, it needs to move, oh, I need to rest now, I'm gonna go rest, oh, I need more fiber because something's blocked up, okay, let's do this. But like, really, you don't, not that you don't need tests and you don't need, evaluations and
Oh
blood
yeah,
work,
yeah.
whatever, those things are great when you need them, but there is something to be said for just being aware of what is happening inside your body.
Absolutely.
And you have that power, you have that ability. You just have to practice it if that's not something you're already naturally doing in life.
Well, and two, I think sometimes, just like you said, like you just needed somebody to look at you and say, you can do this. Like this is within your capability. This is what you want. And I truly always, you know, give my clients and my patients that power. Like, listen, this isn't mine. This isn't me. This is not my control. This is yours. What do you want? You don't want to do a natural birth anymore? That's okay. Like, that is okay. Listen, one way or the other, you get a baby. Like, there's no big reward for going natural or getting an epidural. Like, it's what you want. If you don't, if you want to feel no pain, like, I mean, of course, you're gonna feel some pain. Like, this whole idea of there's no pain in childbirth. Okay. But let's really break it down. what do we perceive as pain? I truly, and I think you and I had talked about this at one point, long ago, but I truly believe that some of the pain is more fear because we hear all these horror stories. When your body is afraid because you don't know what to expect, but you go into this and you're afraid because you hear all of these bad things. How many positive things do you hear? How many, birth stories, I mean, now it's getting a little better, but it's like, how often do you have a woman look at you and say, it wasn't like normal pain. It wasn't like I went and broke my leg and I'm in, but it was like I can't describe it. It was your body is contracting. It's, it's a period cramp on steroid, but can you get through a period cramp? Yes. So all your uterus is doing is just contracting, contracting, pushing that baby down, pushing that baby down. Like if you can breathe, if you can find your focal point, like if you can just kind of zone in on that, you will get through it. Because it becomes so one of those things where your body will just take over and your body is releasing hormones that are, listen, they're covering more pain than you know.
As long as you don't get in the way of that.
As long as you don't block it. But at the moment that you look at me and say, I don't want to do it, I'm done, like I tried, I'm going to say, you know what? No, you more than tried, you succeeded because you're doing what you want to do. Same thing with lactation. This idea that lactation consulting is only breastfeed. No. I would really call myself a feeding specialist because I use whatever is at my disposal to help these moms. Because to me, it's not end all be all, right? Listen, your baby is not gaining and, you're being recommended supplementation and, it's really early days. Okay, well, when I come in, I'm, depending on where we're at, what's going on, I'm going to say, okay, how is your baby pooping and peeing? Are we hydrated? Okay, how many days old is your baby? Did you have a C-section? Did you have a natural birth? Were there any medications involved? Like, I'm literally going to assess this from top to bottom. And then I'm going to do a weighted feed with you. I'm going to help you nurse your baby. I'm going to ensure we have a good latch. I'm going to see what your baby's intaking. I'm going to see if they poop and pee during. I'm going to assess their poop and pee. I'm going to weigh all of this. And then I'm going to look at the numbers. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to, now we're going to give it a day. Everything's going great. I'm going to come back in a day and we're going to weigh again. If we're still losing, absolutely, like, let's start with 0.5. But first you're going to put your baby to your breast. Because a little supplementation is not an end all be all. Some babies, they don't have enough reserves and they need that reserve. They need that little extra calorie boost. Your body will give them that. But sometimes they also burn more than they're taking in. So it's a very delicate balance, right? But this idea of, oh, well, you either nurse your baby or pump or you just go to formula. No. This idea of, you can't give your baby a pacifier. Well, that's your choice because evidence-based research is very conflicting, but I can tell you in many, 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 many years of doing this and working with lots of mamas, I've never had a baby refuse a mama's milk-making breast for a pacifier. I said it. I'm sorry. Controversial. Lactation world hates that I will say it, but it's the truth. Nipple confusion comes with early introduction of bottle use. Does that mean you cannot use a bottle? Absolutely not. We have paced bottle feeding. There are other options. We can give it through a syringe. I can attach a tube to your breast so your baby can get that little bit of supplementation while still nursing from you. Your baby's, losing too quickly because they're feeding too long at the breast. Good. We do 10-10. We do a little supplementation. There are options. You just have to find the person that's willing to go to battle. I tell all my mamas, I'm like, listen, you got me, so you don't got to worry about this no more. Let me worry about it. Stop worrying about it. Let me worry about it because I got you. I truly believe mamas need somebody to say, I got you. I tell all my mamas, they're like, oh, I don't know if I can afford the appointments. Listen, pay me what you can. If you can't pay me at all, fine. It is more important to me that you feed your baby, that you have this, breastfeeding relationship, that you have a good start. It is more important than, the low fee that I already charge, $100 for an in-home visit. And guess what? You're going to get all that access to me. You're going to have my phone number. I don't charge you every time you text me. I don't charge you every time you call me. I will continue to help because it matters. And the more, and that going back to that village, you're building a village because guess what? This mama that had this great experience that she thought she was failing. Everybody made her feel like a failure. Do you know how many moms I had look at me and say, and I hate to say it, but oh, this lactation consultant made me feel like a failure. Like she told me I wasn't trying hard enough, and I needed to do this and that, and I'm just really discouraged, and I just think I want to give up, but I really wanted to do this. Why are we making women feel like failures? You just birthed a whole human. Give yourself a little grace. Like, I will give you like those tools. Yes, feed your baby every 2 to 3 hours. Your baby cannot go longer than those 3 hours. But guess what? This wake your baby to feed. Well, you know what? Your baby can sleep feed. Your baby can be asleep and feed. Undress them down to a warm, dry diaper. Give them a little head start. Do a little hand expression. Get that milk kind of started going there. Put a haka on to kind of bring it down for them so they don't have to do as much work. And then, some people say nipple to nose. Some people say, chin to skin. Start giving your baby that stimulation. They will smell that milk. Like, they know it's there. They're like, oh yeah, nope, and they will latch and they will nurse. Take the stress out of it. I tell moms, they're uncomfortable. They're in these weird positions. They got like all the tools. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no, lean back, relax. Are you comfortable? I will take your baby. I will hold your baby. And they're crying, and I'm the moms. I'm like, listen, they're fine. They're crying. They will survive. I promise you. Let's get you comfortable. I get them comfortable. Baby calms down. They go to the breast. They nurse, and they're like, wow, like this is great.
Mm.
And I can truly speak for the fear of, is my body making enough?
Yeah.
With my son, even with the experience I had, I was 22 when I had my son. I already had experience with, labor and delivery and moms and childbirth, but some knowledge cannot be learned. Some things you only gain by doing them. I wanted a natural birth. I wanted a water birth and, all the things. Well, they didn't do water births, but I could labor in the tub. Oh, well, my water broke and I have mech fluid. So now I can't labor in the tub. But then I'm like, okay, but I can move. Well, I moved and moved and moved. I was trusting my body. I was getting through it. My husband unfortunately was deployed at the time. So, my mother was there as my support, which was amazing. But I was just, so many factors, right? But I'm like, no, like, this is what I want to do. Well, now we start Pitocin. Okay. You want to get things moving. I understand. Like, I'm 7 centimeters. I'm sitting, all the things. All right. He had meconium. Like, I understand. So do that. But now I'm on my back. I can't get out of bed. I can't move. I can't do the things I need to do. I can't control my pain. So now, yes, which I was fine with getting the epidural. And I'll be honest, I'm very glad that I did because it was what it needed to be. But my son came out and he did have mech, and then so NICU was there, but then they left, but then he struggled to breathe a little bit. So then they took him out into the nursery, and I was like terrified.
I mean,
because
talk
nobody
about stress hormones at that point, right? Like,
yes, and nobody prepared me. That is like when I said I prepared my patients. Every shift I came in, I met my patient. I talked to them. I was in my patient's room more than I was anywhere else. I used the tools of being a doula, and I was rubbing their back. Like, listen, my mamas that didn't have a doula, like I was that doula. If I had that patient, other patient, I timed it to where I could do both. But that support made a difference. That support mattered. They needed that support. They needed to know they were okay. They needed to know that the person had them. I wish I would have had that with both my births. I didn't have that with my births. My daughter, I actually delivered my daughter to her. Her body was almost completely out by the time my midwife got there because the nurse that was my nurse, she didn't believe me. That I was like, no, she's coming. I didn't have like no time for anything. They started me on some pit. They were going to do an epidural. He comes in, starts trying to do it, and he's like, okay, I can't. I'm like, okay. It happened so quickly, and hers was a little bit different because I was already 3 centimeters, but I was 38 weeks, and but I was not doing well. My heart rate was extremely high, and I couldn't get it to come down. So so it was fast. They wanted to get her out because they were worried about me. She was great. I was fine and talking to my husband, and my mom was like, had jumped on a flight trying to get here because we were states away from each other at the time. She had moved, and I will never forget. I felt her drop, and when I say she dropped. And I looked at my husband and I started grunting and I said, she's coming. And he's like, no, 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 no. I said, I am telling you, she's coming. I said, and so I put my hand in between my legs and I could feel her head. And I said, go get the nurse. Like, she is sitting there. So my nurse comes in and she's like, no, no, I think you just feel pressure, you know? And I'm like, no, like, I'm touching her head. And she's like, okay, okay. So she like lifts my sheet and looks and she says, close your legs, don't push, I'll be right back. And I was like, I can't. Like, so that true ejection, that what we hear about, your body ejecting your baby from it, that is true. That happens because it happened to me and I have seen it happen to other women. My body it did it. And by the time my midwife walked in, my baby's head was out and her shoulders were out. And I was holding her in my hands and she grabbed my hands. She said, it's okay. And I loved, oh my God, my midwives were the bomb. The first time and the second time, they were amazing. That was my support systems, right? Like they really, and I know they were tired. I know it was late. I know they worked, but I will truly say that both of them, like I knew they had me. I knew my babies were okay with them. Like, but she put her hands on my hands and she said, "It's okay. Like you can push her the rest of the way out. Like you've already done it. Like she's here. Just push her out." And I did. And she's crying and she's pink and she's beautiful, right? And so two different types of births, but from those when I became a nurse and I worked in labor and delivery full time, I said, I want to make sure that as long as it's on me, as long as it's my patient, as long as I am responsible, I don't want anybody, I'm not going to tell somebody, nah, 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 you're not, no, like, hold on, let me check you. Let me see what's going on. Like, maybe it is just pressure, but I'm not going to rely on, oh, well, the strip doesn't look like you're,
Yeah, but you're
listen,
also not just gonna brush someone off.
absolutely not.
Yeah, so here's one thing. Like, even when mama isn't right, which can happen,
Oh,
mama,
yeah, absolutely.
my baby's ready and I'm ready to push. You check and maybe it's just a bulging bag of waters and it's not really the head and she thinks it's the head.
Or,
Whatever the
yeah,
situation is, there is a difference in approach. And this goes for any scenario. Okay, you look as the practitioner and you're like, okay, this is heading toward a C-section and we know this is where it's going. You can say, you need a C-section. Or you can be a friend to the mama and say, all right, girl, look, here's what's going on. And I know this isn't what you want. And we're gonna talk about this. And we're gonna make this decision together. I'm not making it for
yeah,
you, like
nope.
this is your decision, but I'm telling you what's happening and I'm telling you what I'm seeing. And there's a very different vibe. I don't know.
Hmm.
Like there's something very different. And I've seen it done both ways. I've seen it done the right way. I've seen it done the wrong way where and when you're especially when you're at the hospital, when you meet the nurse that is, on your
Yeah,
team and she's got you, when that person, and you have the right, like we were talking about before, not only the right, I would say the responsibility, the duty to advocate for yourself and say, you know what, you are stressing me out and I don't like that right now. That's not what I need. Can you please go get somebody else to have this conversation with me?
yeah,
You're not, it's
absolutely.
okay. Like you're not gonna, you
You're
might
not a
offend people.
problem. You're not an
Even
inconvenience to that person.
But
You
even if you
shouldn't
are,
be.
that's not your problem. That's
No,
not your problem. You know what I mean? Like
no.
you have a responsibility to keep your oxytocin level as high as you can. That means that if somebody is stressing you out, pissing you off, um, making you feel uncomfortable, making you feel like a failure, whatever. And this is true for pregnancy throughout the entirety of pregnancy. It's true through the
Absolutely.
entirety of the birth process, pushing everything, and it's true for postpartum too and lactation, where if you're somebody you're at the hospital and we were talking about the lactation buddies or whatever that come in and they say, oh,
Yeah.
well, I think you should do this and you should be feeding that and how come you're not doing this and you're not producing enough, and you're like,
Well, and like let's talk about producing.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's address the elephant in the room. How many women are terrified they're not making any milk? Because there's no way to measure milk, right? Like
Mhm.
there's no way. All right. Even when you pump, that your baby is going to pull more from your breast than a breast pump will. Okay? So don't ever rely on how much you're making from a breast pump. Let's also not rely on the mom on TikTok that is making 30 mLs at a time 3 days postpartum. Listen, that's not normal. That's hyperlactation. That is oversupply. That is listen. That's not normal. So when you come to me and you say, "Oh my gosh, I'm only making 3 ounces," I'm like, "You're only making 3 ounces? Like, go, mama! Like, you're doing fabulous." And depending on your baby's age, I will break it down for you and show you how much your baby should be taking in. I will do those weighted feeds so you can listen. If your baby's doing great, and I do a weighted feed and you're scared just because you're not making enough, I am not doing that because I am truly like, what is this? No, I'm doing it so you can see,
To put your mind at
hey,
ease.
hey, my baby's eating. My baby is pooping and peeing and gaining weight and doing the things like I trust my body. It's doing what it needs to do. If I have mamas that come to me and they've already been through some trauma and their baby wasn't gaining as fast as it needed to, and they're gaining but they're gaining a little slower, and so I'm working really closely with you and we're going to do these weighted feeds and I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to make sure your baby is latched well. I'm going to go through your health history to make sure that there's nothing underlying, because there are things that our bodies do sometimes that can have an effect on our milk supply. Or hey, did you ever have a breast surgery? Or there's a million things out there, right? You just have to know how the body works and what can affect it. Just something that I have recently put a lot of time and energy into is maternal nutrition, because this is something we're missing. Okay, we think once a baby's born, and I have so many moms like, we stop like considering that, oh man, like, I don't know why you're not making milk. Okay, how much are you eating? You're
Oh, I'm eating
tired.
crackers.
You're not eating anything of substance. You're like just eating when you can. You're exhausted, because we say eat to hunger, drink to thirst. Okay, yes, but let's break this down a little further. I tell my moms now, and I have seen, I mean, over the past year, I have seen such huge changes. Changes I didn't see before, because that's something else. Yes, I am credentialed. Yes, I have this education. I learn all the time. I learn from every single case. I do not know everything. And every case makes me dig a little deeper. Well, what about this? Or what about, there's a puzzle piece of, where is the missing piece? I was not at one point even considering, my moms are telling me they're eating, right? And I'm like, okay, great, you're eating. I wasn't considering breaking down their calories and saying, what are your macros? Like, and not putting pressure on them to track macros. No, I'm going to do that for you. So what I do now and have for about, it's been a little over a year. If a mom is having issues with supply, whether that be not making enough, and there's no underlying health history, and their baby has a beautiful latch, but it's just something's missing, and their blood work is beautiful, like something's missing somewhere. I break down, how much are you eating in a day? Like, just for one day, just do your normal thing and just write it down and let me know. Don't worry about the calories. Just write down. I had 2 eggs for breakfast. I had, a protein cookie, and I had, a chicken breast and some green beans for dinner. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to look at those calories for you. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to take your height, your weight, I'm going to plug it in, and I have all of the beautiful tools that tell me where a mom should be from her height and her weight, and if she is either trying to maintain or, where her supply is. Like, we have these things. I'm going to plug all that in, and I'm going to come up with this number, and then I'm going to compare it, and I'm going to say, you are 500 calories below. You are not eating enough to make milk. So now not only your body in pregnancy and in lactation, it will drain you before it doesn't give your baby what it needs. But then when you're so depleted, you have you have nothing left to give. It's still going to try to make this milk. It's still going to do it, but it's only going to be able to produce so much because we're not giving it the fuel it needs, the calories, the carbs, the fats. Like, we're putting all this pressure. Oh, bounce back to your pre-baby. Listen, stop it. Stop it. You got all the time in the world to bounce back, okay?
And you will, and you will.
You
And
will. It will
it's
happen.
you will, but it's not the priority in your first
No.
trimester.
No, and we're not all gonna bounce back and and look like Hollywood, because let me tell you, they have dietitians and chefs and all these people cooking for them, and we're not gonna look like Blake Lively, after her fourth baby, bouncing back and being Lady Deadpool. Like, it's just not gonna happen, right? Okay. I mean, and for some people it might, but I also take that into consideration. If you are, a very, very tiny person, and let's say you have a really fast metabolism, I'm going to give you a couple hundred more calories, because guess what? Your body needs that. It is already burning so much. You wonder why you're tired. You wonder why you have no energy. You wonder why you feel awful. We aren't fueling our bodies. Am I telling you, hey, go out and eat an entire tub of ice cream? Absolutely not. Like, no. Do you want a bowl of ice cream? Absolutely, go for it. Like, I'm gonna tell you, if you are craving it, as long as it is not chalk or dirt, crazy. If you are craving something, if it is sweets, please have some. Like, give yourself a little grace. Good Lord, like, you are feeding a baby, you are being a mama, you just produced a whole child. Like, you have a hole in the side, like, big hole, like a plate-sized hole inside of you that now has to heal. Like, your body needs this. It's telling you it needs it. Like, you're not just hungry because you eat too much. No, you're hungry because your body needs that fuel. You're
Yeah.
hungry because your body is an overload making milk. I'm
So it's
too
funny
much
because
pressure.
like during pregnancy, there's this trope of, oh, I'm eating for two.
Hmm.
Yes, well, you are. Like obviously, don't go crazy. Like gestational diabetes is a real thing. Don't only
Absolutely, it
live
is.
on,
Yes.
Kit Kats. But
Yeah.
you are eating for two in pregnancy. You're taking all these wonderful prenatal vitamins. You're supplementing your nutrition. You're hydrating. You're taking care of yourself as you're growing this baby. And I've seen people do this where the baby is no longer inside of the womb, the baby's on the outside, and the mom is no longer eating for two, is no longer hydrating, is no longer taking the prenatals and the supplementation that she was taking, and then she's like, why am I so exhausted? Why do I feel so depressed? Why am I so anxious? And I'm like, maybe because your body was like actually being taken care of, and then you
And
just
now it's not.
dropped it like off a cliff. Of course you're
Yeah.
gonna feel depleted. You
Yeah.
are.
I tell moms, I'm like, listen, what I want you to do is, every time you sit down to feed your baby, have a snack. It could be some fresh fruit. It could be some granola. It could be an oatmeal cream pie. Okay, like, I'm from down south. Like, listen, I'm not. It could be whatever you. But and if you're one of those people like me, like, I go through phases where I am not hungry. Fine, have a protein shake at that moment, because you're gonna drink. So, or just a little bit of something. It doesn't have to be a lot, but that little step, because you're sitting there and you're nursing your baby and you're having that moment of calm and your body is calm, just snack on something. A little bit of dark chocolate. Dark chocolate's a beautiful thing. And I'm not over here preaching that it should all be healthy and organic. And listen, it can be what you need it to be, all right? Something. Have a pack of crackers. Like, of course I would much rather you be healthy. Like, if you're gonna, exercise and stuff, absolutely exercise, but refuel your body to also continue to do what it's gonna do. I want you to do things healthy. I want you to be happy. Like, I want this to work for you and your baby. I want you to have the absolute best, experience that you can have. And I've, discovered, because you just don't think about it. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, you don't. You're looking for all the clinical things, and it's something. It's sometimes such a small piece that you missed. And we adjust nutrition. Um, you know, Power pumping can be great, but please do not trust the internet. Look for somebody that truly understands how the body works and can tell you, one time a day, replace one feed one time a day. Let's do it for a week and see, because it can take, 4 to 7 days for your body to turn around and have that increase. And I really truly believe in being honest with my clients and with my patients. Like, listen, it's probably going to be about, a half of an ounce, point 5, because that's a lot. Your body that's a big increase. Like, don't expect 1, 2, 3 mLs. Like, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's for some people it is. Some people, they see a huge boost because now we're fueling, now we got the nutrition piece, and now we're power pumping, and our body's like, okay, here we go. And on the same token, you can also send yourself into oversupply. This is a very common thing that I saw, something that I really, really try to advocate for moms, because if you're in the hospital and you're feeding your baby and, everything seems to be going great, but then, you get told to start pumping, so feed your baby for 10 to 15 minutes, then also pump for 10 to 15 minutes. And then you go home and, your milk comes in, and now you're engorged, you're making all this milk, more milk than your baby can take, and you're still pumping because nobody told you to stop pumping. So you're still feeding your baby, and now you're still pumping, but like, oh my God, you're still uncomfortable, and now we have mastitis, or we have a clogged duct that leads to mastitis, and let's not even look at, like, mastitis that can sometimes not show the normal symptoms and be an underlying issue that makes a mama very sick. Like, please, please find somebody that truly, truly understands and will look at all the pieces and hear what you say, and then not only tell, like, nobody should be saying, I don't know how to help you. Like, no, like, if I'm either going to figure it out or I'm going to refer to somebody. Like, I will refer a patient, if there's a concern, and I truly am like, this isn't right. Like, I think, there's seems to be underlying infection. Like, I really prefer you to see your OBGYN. Like, just let them double check. Guess what? Like, good example. I had a case where there was a clogged duct and it didn't go away. And we did all the things, and she also had some other underlying symptoms, but not normal mastitis. No fever, just kind of like the cold and flu, but no fever, no redness, no swelling, none of the things. But lowered milk supply on that side. So I had assessed the area, I had measured, the little lump, but it wasn't even in the, one of the normal, places that I would consider it to be a clogged duct. So I strongly, strongly urged the patient to see their OBGYN. I felt it was very, very important. Well, guess what? It was very important because they had an underlying case of mastitis that was almost asymptomatic, and this was causing a dip, to almost have barely any milk supply. And the problem with that is that infection will spread, and it had actually created a massive infection. So what that was a massive infection. But, the person before me had told her to, massage it vigorously, like, get it out, Okay, so when that mass ruptures, now you have spread infection through that entire area because we were so sure that that's what that was, but then said, you know what, like, I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry. Like, I've tried all the things. I'm not really sure what else to do. So then you leave this person. Now they're trying to find somebody else. Like, thank God, like, her friend knew me, and it was a quick referral. But I didn't come in and say, I even told, this person, I said, I'm not 100% sure. I said, because this is not a typical presentation in any way, shape, or form. I said, so I'm going to measure it, and I'm going to come back tomorrow. And I stayed, like, very, very close contact. And I was like, I just don't feel good about this. I just want you to be seen. Like, if it's nothing, it's nothing. But I feel very strongly about this. And I would not tell you that if I truly didn't feel that way. And that was after reviewing her entire history. And she had had a very, very traumatic, pregnancy and birth and postpartum period before she got, to me with the lactation side. And I said, there's too many working parts. There's too many what ifs here. And, she now, months later, still keeps in contact, comes back to me, and she's like, I am so glad that we looked, because now she is exclusively feeding her baby with breast milk.
This is amazing.
That
So
almost didn't happen.
this is what I would call the modern day village.
Mm-hmm.
We can take the good from that traditional, village analogy, the moms that help other moms, the women that help other women, and we can utilize the technology and the reach that we now have to
Absolutely.
further support each other. And I love that so much, and I feel like that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it should be. And there's no pride, there's no, ego. If I'm not the right person for you, I will tell you because I'm not the right person for everybody. There's nothing like, well, if you don't go with me, then meh. Like I don't have that. I'm not I'm not so prideful that I'm like, I am the be all end all. No, it's I will take you as far as my knowledge and experience can take you. And if you need more, let's work together. Let's go. Let's keep going until we resolve it, however that looks, and however long it takes, and whoever needs to get involved, and however simple or complicated it is. Let's just keep going until we fix whatever it may be. And it can be any number of things.
I don't want anybody to feel alone. I felt alone when I was breastfeeding my son and told he wasn't gaining into supplement, and I did for a day. And then because it was easy, right? Like I could just screw the lid on the bottle, and I was with my parents, but my husband was gone, and I had this newborn, and I was young myself. Like I had never done these things. I had helped women do it, but I had never done them.
Mm.
And then I recognized, like, the first time he's like, I don't think I want booby. I think that was much easier because I didn't know to really, pace it correctly. And I was tired and all the things. And then, oh, grandma and grandpa could feed him and I can take a 5-minute power nap. But I was like, no, I really, really wanted to breastfeed. So I did a little research. I was like, he's only 4 days old. Like, why am I so, like, he doesn't even have to get, and he hadn't even lost that much, but it was just this push, this early push for supplementation. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep nursing him through this. And the next day my milk came in, and then I'm making a ton of milk. Like he is, I mean, I'm leaking, he's eating, and like there's still milk here. And this was before the Haka was invented. So the big thing then was,
The Haka is amazing.
the Haka is amazing. I recommend it to everybody. I even have a little system that I created that works with it for moms when they're, it's a whole thing. Like I said, we could do like 3 series on all of it.
We should. We will.
But but the point being, when I had my son, the thing was the washable breast pads, and that was the thing, and everybody had them, and I was like, later, all this time later, I even tell moms now, I don't recommend using breast pads. I'm like, get the breast shells that you can put in your bra because we're wasting milk. Like it's dripping, into these, and we're squeezing it out and washing it. And you could get the breast shells and it could be dripping in there, and you leave it in there for 2 hours. Your baby's ready to eat. You dump that, do the mason jar method. Highly recommend it. Love it. Whole thing. Whole nother
Or
separate
if you
thing.
don't need that, then just start. What I use the Haka for, I don't remember if it was your recommendation or what, but I was obsessed with the Haka. That's how I built my little freezer stash, which for me was
Absolutely.
I didn't need to bottle feed, which is amazing. But it was peace of mind for me. So like, God forbid something happened to me, or I wasn't able to make it home on time. I got stuck in traffic and the baby was hungry. Whatever it was, like it made me feel so at ease that I had built up a little bit of
Yes.
a stash just using the Haka. That if something were to happen, my baby would have a little bit of something there in the freezer ready. And I was very fortunate. I ended up donating it to a mom that needed. I had a quite a large supply.
Well, so that's the other thing. There are milk banks, and there are, yes, NICU babies do use that milk, and yes, these milk banks do need it. And yes, they may say we can't take this, but if you follow this protocol, we can take anything new you bring. But two, also to remember, like if you don't have a lot, but you do have some in there, and you're like, oh, I guess I should just throw this away. Well, no, use it in a milk bath. Make some baby soap out of it. Like, get creative. Make some milk jewelry and remember your journey. Like, remember how hard you worked because you worked hard to make
Even
that milk.
your toddler. Whenever the family
Absolutely.
was sick, I mean, maybe this is controversial. Maybe some people think this
It's
is
not.
weird, but I was feeding my second baby. I had a supply in the freezer, and it was a lot. And I was like, I'm not going to use this much. My oldest would get a glass of booby milk every morning, and some people were like, he's asking for booby milk, and I'm like, yep, because I
Absolutely.
guess what, he is so healthy.
It's not controversial. So, really quick, just the way that works is because they're like, oh, well, how's it work for this baby? And, and then for your toddler. Okay, so when you come into contact with illness, or you're sick, or your baby comes into contact with illness, your baby's saliva tell that is what tells your body what that baby needs, whether it needs more fat in your milk, whether we need, whether we've come in contact with the flu and we need, some protection, whatever the case may be. Well, guess what? If you have a toddler in your home and you're sick, are they also coming into contact with that same thing? Absolutely. So when your body turns around and says, "Oh, here comes some antibodies, like here comes some things, to help you fight off this illness or to protect your baby." Okay, so now your baby is getting it, but you can also give that to your toddler. And now your toddler has a little boost, a little, will they still get sick? Maybe.
But it's
And
certainly
but
not
if
going
they,
to hurt them.
no, but if they do, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be milder, or it's going to be a little shorter, or it's not going to be as bad as it would have been. And, breast milk has benefits. Like, it has benefits, beyond, the infancy stage. So don't let anybody shame you for. I fed my daughter till she was 4.5 and my son was 2.5. Don't let anybody shame you for feeding your baby. It's not weird. This is not. Sometimes that was all. Like, I'm not saying to only breastfeed your child for that long. What I'm saying is, and I'll pass on some knowledge from a very experienced midwife. She was my first midwife. She was an amazing woman. She told me, she said, with my sons, she said that at the end of the day, when she came home from her long shifts at the hospital, she said, with every baby, she said, was it that they needed to still breastfeed? She said, no. She said, but that was our little thing. At the end of the day, she said, I would go sit in a quiet room and one of, whichever child was a baby at the time, she said they would come and get in my lap and they would nurse. And she said that was how I calmed myself, because when you're breastfeeding and you feel tired, well, yeah, because your body naturally relaxes. That is hormones at its finest to allow that milk to flow. Okay. So, yes, you should feel relaxed. Yes, you feel that love and bond for your baby. Oxytocin makes you bond with your baby. Oxytocin is like this super hormone. It does all kinds of things.
We are going to do a whole episode. You and I have done this
Absolutely,
under 10
yes.
episodes, so we have to. We must.
I'm absolutely happy to go through all the things with oxytocin and, pitocin and the differences and why it's different. And, because I would have patients ask me very often, well, why does it hurt so much more with pitocin? Well, let me tell you why. Like, there is a reason.
Tune in for the next episode. Not this next episode, but we're going to figure out a time and we're going to go into that.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a really cool conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that was her. I still remember it to this day. It was just something that she said to me. She was actually holding my son in my room. She was holding him, and I have a picture of it, and it's beautiful. And she was telling me this story, and it has stuck with me, and I remembered it with both my children. And truly, like, I would come home from long shifts, rough shifts, and I can remember when my daughter was like 2, she would get so excited when I got home, and I didn't pump at work. I didn't have time. So I would go 8 to 12 hours, and I'm like in the bathroom in the early morning trying to like express some milk into the sink, because I'm like, I don't have time to pump, but I am so full and I'm in so much pain, and I have this 45-minute drive home, like, So, she would, as soon as I got home, here comes my daughter with her blanket, and she had she'd say, "Booby and a nap, booby and a nap." Because she knew I was tired, so I would lay on the couch and she would get in her position and she would nurse, and we would both nap for an hour. And it was just one of those, never was there a time, even at the hardest with breastfeeding and struggles, because I had struggles both times. I didn't have easy breastfeeding. My daughter had a tongue tie. I was told that I would have to have it, revised, or she would not be able to breastfeed. I never revised it, and she nursed till she was almost 4. Like, she was 3 and, literally right at 4 before she stopped breastfeeding. And so that's why I gained certifications with the tongue ties, because I wanted to know. Like, I felt like I didn't have enough training to really say, like, yeah, like, this baby has a tongue tie, or, oh, well, Because in one state, a lactation consultant can say, yeah, I think your baby has a tongue tie. Like, let's get the pediatrician involved. Like, they can make the referral. Some places, maybe they can make referrals, or there's, a network where it's okay. In Connecticut, you can't tell a mom her baby has a tongue tie, even as a lactation consultant. You can say, I think they do, but I really need your pediatrician. The pediatrician has to actually diagnose it because it's not within the scope, right?
Mm,
So I wanted that extra
yeah.
certification. And even now, that's not within my scope to diagnose this tongue tie, even with this extra certification. But what it does give me the power to do is say, I strongly believe that, that your baby has a tongue tie, or, it appears that your baby has this buccal tie. And, from what I'm seeing with the feeds and from the clicking that I'm hearing, and we've adjusted and we're really trying, but things aren't getting better, they're getting worse. I would like you to see your pediatrician. And a lot of times the pediatricians will say, what did your lactation consultant say? Because you build that relationship. I would strongly advise people to build relationships, find people you trust, your lactation care, your OBGYN, your pediatrician, and then introduce them to the other person caring for you. Introduce them to your lactation consultant. I tell every patient I am happy to network with your provider so they can contact me. Please sign this. They'll have you sign it on their end. I will talk to them. I will let them know what's going on. I will let them know I am following you. I am weighing this baby every 2 days. I will send them these results so they are not as worried.
This goes back to
That
the
makes the
modern day
difference.
village. That's all, like, that seems to be the theme for
Absolutely.
today is like, you got to find the people that are going to have your back and that are going to support you and not make you feel like a failure, but also really help you if you're having an actual tough time, not just brush you off and not ignore your concerns and just really work together to get you through whatever it may be.
And I promise, you're not the exception to the rule. Like, you can be made to be felt sometimes like you're the only one this has ever happened with. No, I promise you, you are not the only one this has happened with, and it's unfair to make mamas feel like that. And that is truly like my mission, is to make that change. I'm one person, but listen, one stone can make the ripples, right? So I might not be able to change everything, but I am working very, very, very hard to make big changes in modern lactation. And hopefully, as more to come. Hopefully I'll be able to eventually share it, but hopefully as things move along, we will be seeing some larger changes, for women with lactation and the care they receive, and access to that care. It's just real. I'm working really hard to start, breaking down these barriers. So
Sarah, you're amazing. We've gone well over an
thank you.
hour. We could probably talk for another like three.
We
And
could, yes.
this has been amazing. So, if somebody wants to find you, why don't you tell the good people where they can find you, how they can reach out to you, and what areas you serve, and if you serve virtually as well.
So I do. So I have a website. It's www.peacefulhandslactation, all one word, all lower caps.com. Um, I also have a Facebook page under Peaceful Hands Lactation, and I'm happy to share these with you so you can post them as well so they can be found on your webpage. And then my phone numbers are attached to those, so I can be found that way. And then I serve all over, so I travel to help mamas, because I just don't believe that I believe it's a human right to feed your child. So I do travel. um, so don't worry about that. I offer virtual care. I offer telehealth. So I do the video chats, and if we can't accomplish it over video chat, then I figure out how to set it up so where I can get out to you. And I'm working really hard. I'm hoping to, eventually be able to open, an office setting. That also may come within the next year. There's definitely very promising things happening that also should allow for an office visit. And there's no restriction on how long you can be under care, and there's no restriction on how old your baby is for me to come to your home. Like it doesn't matter if they're, brand new, fresh out of the womb, or if they're 6 months old. Like I will still come to you and see you. And it's right on my webpage. Please do not ever be worried that inability to pay will keep you from receiving care, because that is not an issue for me. Talk to me. Let me know what's going on. Like, I'm going to help you feed your baby one way or the other. All you got to do is let me know what's going on.
You are a one-of-a-kind individual, Sarah. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining. I'm very
Thank you
glad
for
we did this.
having me.
You're welcome. We're gonna definitely do at least 1 or 20 more episodes.
Make like a mini series.
That would be great. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we could with the, how easy it is to talk about all this stuff. So this has been great. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys all in the next episode.